Welcome back to the deep dive. We have a massive stack of research to get through today.
Oh, you really do.
And I have to say, this one feels different. Usually we're talking about these high-flying, futuristic concepts that might happen in 10 years. But today we are talking about something happening right now.
Right, in the trenches.
Exactly, in the trenches of the economy.
It is a fascinating topic. It's one of those subjects that sits right at the intersection of economics, software architecture, and frankly...
Just really smart business strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
We're calling it the Build Once protocol. And I know protocol sounds a bit dry, and Build Once sounds like something from a construction manual.
Or IKEA instructions.
Right. But I don't use this word lightly. This concept is revolutionary when it comes to your bank account.
It really is. It totally flips the script on how we think about value in the age of AI.
But before we get into the solution, and trust me, the solution is incredible for you listeners out there, we have to talk about the problem.
The context is everything here.
It is. I want to take you back to a specific piece of data we found in the source material. It stopped me in my tracks.
From the BCG report.
Yes, the Boston Consulting Group, their 2024 AI report.
Yes, the year of the AI disappointment, as some financial analysts are calling it now.
That's the one. The report had this startling statistic. 56% of companies got zero financial return from AI in 2024.
Zero.
Zero. Not a cent.
It is a staggering number when you really process it.
I mean, think about the context of 2024. You and I remember it vividly.
Oh, the noise level was absolutely deafening.
Every headline was, AI is coming for your job, or AI is saving the world. Companies were panic buying GPUs like they were stocking up on canned goods for the apocalypse.
They were hiring consultants, buying Copilot licenses for every single employee.
Rolling out these massive initiatives.
And yet, for more than half of them, the bottom line just didn't move.
Didn't budge.
Sitting here in February 2026, we have the benefit of hindsight. We can look back at that AI fatigue period with a bit more clarity.
Yeah, what do you think actually happened there?
I think what happened was a classic case of tool fixation. Everyone went out and bought the dashboards.
Right.
They subscribed to the tools that promised to write their emails, generate their images, summarize their meetings. They were treating AI like a garnish.
A garnish.
Yeah, exactly. They were sprinkling AI on top of their existing broken workflows and expecting a Michelin star meal.
But fundamentally, their business operations didn't change.
Not at all. A broken process with a chatbot on top of it is just a faster broken process. They were adding noise, not signal.
It really felt like everyone was just playing with toys, didn't it?
Completely.
I remember sitting in meetings where people were showing off these image generators and everyone would go, ooh, ah.
Right, the magic tricks.
But then the meeting would end and we'd all go back to our spreadsheets and manual data entry.
Precisely. They bought the hype, but they didn't buy a solution.
Yeah.
But, and this is where today's deep dive gets really interesting, while that 56% was flailing around burning cash, there was a specific, much quieter group of people who were printing money during that time.
The ones who actually figured it out.
The ones who figured it out.
Wow.
And they weren't making headlines.
No?
They weren't launching massive foundation models to compete with OpenAI or Google. They weren't doing TED Talks.
They were doing the complete opposite of what the hype demanded.
Exactly. They were executing what we're calling the Build Once protocol.
Okay, so let's define that for the listeners. What does that actually mean in practice?
At its core, the Build Once protocol is about identifying one incredibly boring, painful, recurring workflow within a specific industry.
A vertical.
A vertical, right.
Yeah.
And automating it completely. But here is the key, and this is the protocol part. You don't just automate it for one person.
Right.
You automate it in a way that allows you to scale that exact same solution across an entire vertical market without rebuilding the machine.
So let me see if I have this right. It's the difference between being a consultant and a product owner.
Yes, that's a perfect way to frame it.
Because if I'm a consultant, client A calls me with a problem, I fix it. Then client B calls me with a similar problem.
And you start from scratch.
I start from scratch and fix it for them, charging by the hour.
That is the agency trap. You are trading time for money.
But with the Build Once protocol, I fix it for client A, but I build the fix in such a way that when client B calls, I just plug them into the existing system.
Exactly. It marks the shift from custom consulting to productized outcomes.
Yeah.
You are selling a result.
A result, not your time.
Right. And the beautiful thing, the thing that I think is going to surprise a lot of people listening to this is that the uglier the workflow, the better the opportunity.
The uglier, the better. I love that. And we have a specific case study to walk through today that perfectly illustrates this.
It really brings it down to earth.
It takes us to a small fabrication shop in Pune, India. And I love this example because it's not about high-frequency trading or some futuristic biotech lab.
No, it's about paperwork.
It's the unglamorous reality of the global economy.
Exactly.
So let's give you a quick roadmap for this deep dive. We're going to break down this Pune case study in detail because the mechanics of it are fascinating.
The plumbing of it, really.
Right. Then we're going to zoom out and look at the macro picture. Specifically, the death of horizontal SaaS.
SaaS-margeddon, as the experts are calling it.
SaaS-margeddon. It sounds terrifying, but the economic logic behind it is totally sound.
It is inevitable.
We'll get into that math, the math of build one, sell many. And finally, we're going to talk about the moat.
Because the skeptics are already asking the question.
Of course, if this is just using off-the-shelf tools, can't anyone do it?
We'll explain why boring domain knowledge is actually your biggest defense.
And we will discuss why knowing which invoices disappear at 2 a.m. is worth more than being a Python expert.
I can't wait to get into the 2 a.m. invoice mystery.
Me too. Okay, let's jump into segment 1, the case study.
Let's do it.
So, set the scene for us. We are in Pune.
Right, so picture an industrial estate. This isn't a shiny Silicon Valley campus with beanbags and espresso machines.
No kombucha on tap.
Definitely no kombucha. It's loud. There's the sound of metal grinding on metal. It's dusty. Trucks are backing in and out. Engines idling.
This is a fabrication shop.
Yes. These guys take raw steel and turn it into parts for heavy machinery. Real economy stuff.
Tangible.
Tangible, exactly.
Now, the business of cutting metal is fine. They're good at that. The problem isn't the welding.
It's the office.
It's the office. It almost always is.
Specifically a process called purchase order reconciliation.
Just saying those 3 words makes my eyes glaze over.
It sounds like the most boring thing on earth.
And that is exactly why it is such a goldmine. Let's break down what was happening here, because you have to understand the pain to understand the value.
Okay, lay it out for us. You have a shop receiving raw materials. Every time a truck shows up, it comes with a document called a delivery challenge.
Which is basically a delivery note, right?
Correct. It's a piece of paper that says, here is the steel you ordered. But then later on, the vendor sends an invoice, usually by email, saying, pay me this amount.
Okay.
And the shop itself has a purchase order, a PO, in their internal system that says what they thought they were going to pay and what they thought they ordered.
So you have 3 sources of truth: the PO, the challenge, and the invoice.
And the reconciliation is matching these 3 things. This is called the 3-way match.
Right.
In a perfect world, the numbers on all 3 documents match perfectly. You click approve, the vendor gets paid, and everyone goes home happy.
But we do not live in a perfect world.
We live in the ERP mess.
It's the ERP mess.
The enterprise resource planning system might say one thing, but the challenge is a crumpled piece of paper with grease stains on it.
Grease stains, like literally.
Literally, the driver handed it to the foreman, who put it in his pocket, then handed it to the clerk.
Oh, man.
Maybe there are handwritten notes in the margins like 2 beams rejected, rusted.
So it's not clean data at all.
Not at all. The invoice might be a clean PDF, or it might be a photo of a piece of paper taken on a driver's smartphone in bad lighting.
And these things vanish.
Constantly. Challenges get lost in the warehouse. Invoices get stuck in email spam filters.
It's a nightmare.
The source material mentions that the person dealing with this at the Pune shop spent 11 days of staring at PO formats until their eyes crossed.
11 days?
11 days.
That's essentially 2 full work weeks of just comparing numbers on different pieces of paper.
Imagine the human cost of that. The tedium. You're looking at line items. Did we order 50 bolts or 500? Is this the right price? Wait, this challenge letter doesn't match the invoice number.
It is mind-numbing work.
Mind-numbing. But it has to be done.
Why? What happens if you just don't do it?
If you don't do it, you overpay. You pay for steel you never received.
Right.
Or you underpay, and the vendor gets angry and stops shipping to you, which shuts down your factory.
Which is catastrophic.
The tax man comes knocking because your records don't match. It is a critical bottleneck.
So this is the pain point. It's visceral, it hurts, it costs money.
Yes.
So how did they fix it? Because this is where the build once protocol kicks in. They didn't just hire a team of 10 data entry clerks.
No, because hiring more humans just scales the error rate.
True.
They used automation. Specifically, they used a combination of 2 technologies, N8N and LLMs.
Let's pause and unpack N8N for you listeners who might not be deep in the tech stack. What is that?
N8N is a workflow automation tool. Think of it like the plumbing of the internet.
The pipes.
The pipes. It connects app A to app B. When an email arrives here, take the attachment and save it there. It moves the data.
It's the conveyor belt.
Right. But a conveyor belt is dumb. It can move a box, but it doesn't know what's inside the box. And that's the problem with the ERP mess. The data is unstructured. You can't just tell a normal computer script, read this crumpled, grease-stained piece of paper.
Doesn't know what it's looking at.
It has no idea.
In the old days, we had OCR, optical character recognition, but that was brittle.
Right. Extremely brittle. If the scan was crooked, or if there was a coffee stain over the date, OCR would fail. It would just output garbage.
So this is where the LLM, the large language model, comes in?
Yes. This is the brain of the operation. They combine the plumbing, N8N, with the brain, the LLM.
How does that look in practice?
So N8N grabs the document, the scan, the photo, the PDF. It passes it to the LLM. The LLM acts as the translator.
Okay.
It looks at that messy document and says, this is a delivery challenge. Even though it's handwritten, I can see the date is here, the quantity is here, the vendor is here.
It's essentially giving the computer the ability to read like a human would, understanding context, but at lightning speed.
Precisely. It structures the unstructured data.
Wow.
And then N8N takes that clean structured data and pushes it into the ERP system, matching it against the PO automatically.
And the result of all this plumbing and brain power?
340 hours saved per quarter.
340 hours.
Per quarter.
That's staggering. That's almost a full month of 24-hour days.
It's basically the entire quarterly output of one full-time employee.
It is massive. And thinking about the ROI here, the return on investment, this isn't just, oh, we saved some time.
No, this is the elimination of a massive operational bottleneck.
Right.
It frees up staff to do higher value work, like actually talking to suppliers or managing inventory. It stops overpayments. It speeds up accounting closing cycles.
It is literally finding money in the couch cushions.
Except the couch cushions are made of steel and the money is in the thousands.
Exactly. And this brings us to the pivotal moment, because this could have just been a nice story about one shop in Pune fixing their own problem.
A smart IT guy helps his company. End of story.
Right. But that's not the build once protocol. The magic happens in segment 2. The pivot.
The twist, as the source calls it.
So the developer who built this fix, let's call them the architect of the protocol, they make a discovery.
They realize that this shop isn't unique. They look out the window. Remember, they are in an industrial estate. This is a cluster of businesses doing similar things. Next door is another fabrication shop. Across the street is a chemical processing plant.
And what do they find?
Lo and behold, 3 other shops on the exact same estate have the identical problem.
Same ERP mess.
Same vanishing challenge.
Same headache.
And this is where the business model flips. The architect realizes, I don't need to rebuild this for shop B.
I can just plug shop B into the system I already built for shop A.
Yes.
And the sales cycle. The source says it was frictionless.
This is one of the most fascinating parts of the story. 2 of the clients came through vendor referrals.
Vendor referrals. How does that work?
Think about it. The supplier, the guy delivering the steel, was so happy that Shop A was finally processing invoices on time.
Because they weren't waiting 11 days anymore.
Right. He wasn't getting phone calls asking, where's the challenge? He was getting paid faster. So when he drove his truck to Shop B and the managers there started complaining about paperwork, the driver said, hey, you guys should use what Shop A is using.
That is the dream. You don't need a marketing department.
You don't need cold calls.
The ecosystem sells it for you because the ecosystem benefits from the efficiency.
That is the power of solving a universal pain. When the problem is that acute and the solution is proven, the market pulls the product out of your hands. You aren't pushing it.
So let's look at the math here. This is the build once, sell many concept.
Right. The developer built one workflow, one set of logic, one integration. They deployed it to 4 paying clients.
0 rebuilds.
0.
And if you scale that logic, I mean, how many industrial estates are there?
Every industrial cluster has 15 to 50 shops running the same broken process. And that's just one cluster in one city.
If you look at the macro picture, you are talking about thousands of potential clients who all have the exact same ugly workflow.
Exactly. And this is the opposite of the agency trap, isn't it?
Completely. In a traditional agency, if you get 4 clients, you need 4 times the staff, or you work 4 times as many hours.
Your costs scale linearly with your revenue.
In the build once protocol, your costs are effectively flat after the initial build, maybe a little extra server cost.
But your revenue scales with every new client. That is where you get the compounding returns. That is how you print money.
It sounds so obvious when you say it like that. But why aren't more people doing this? Why is everyone trying to build the next Chat GPT?
Because building the next ChatGPT is sexy. Invoice reconciliation in Pune is not.
It's dirty work.
It's very dirty work.
But that brings us to segment 3, the macro view. Why does this work specifically now in 2026?
We mentioned SaaS margin earlier. Can we unpack that? Is that the end of software as we know it?
In a way, yes. It is the death of horizontal saws.
Horizontal meaning.
Think of the big tools we've used for the last decade. CRMs, project management tools, Slack clones, Trello, Asana, Monday.com. They are horizontal because they try to serve everyone.
So a bakery uses the same CRM as a law firm?
Right. They are generalists. But general tools are, by definition, shallow. They can't solve specific, messy, vertical problems like the challan versus invoice issue in Indian fabrication shops.
Exactly. They don't have the nuance. Trello doesn't know what a challan is.
And what's happening to the market for those general tools?
It's crashing. Because AI allows us to build software much faster now, the barrier to entry for creating software has collapsed.
Anyone can code now.
Anyone can spin up a generic project management tool in a weekend using AI. So you have a million generalist tools fighting for the same customers, driving prices down to zero. That is SaaS Margeddon.
The margins are being eaten away by competition.
Yes, but the vertical stuff, the deep, specific, ugly problems, that is where the margin is hiding.
Because nobody wants to touch it.
And because a general tool can't fix it. The build once model is hyper-vertical and outcome-based. You aren't selling a tool, you are selling the fact that the invoices get reconciled.
And this aligns with the rise of agentic AI. I have that Gartner stat here. 40% of enterprise apps will run AI agents by end of year 2026.
That's up from under 5% in 2024.
It is a massive jump. We are moving from chatbots that talk to you to agents that do things for you.
The N8N workflow we described. That is effectively an agent.
Right.
It goes out, logs into email, reads documents, makes decisions, and updates systems. It is an autonomous worker.
But there's a flip side to these stats. McKinsey pointed out in 2024 that only 34% of firms deeply restructure operations around AI.
And those are the winners. The other 66% just added AI on top of their old mess.
The garnish we talked about.
Exactly. The build once protocol forces you to be in that 34%. You are fundamentally restructuring the operation, taking the human out of the loop of data entry, rather than just giving the human a faster keyboard.
I want to touch on the agency critique again. The source material is pretty harsh on this. It says, selling AI consulting by the hour is a job, not a business.
It is harsh, but fair. If you are an expert in AI and you are charging $200 an hour to build custom prompts for clients, you are capped.
You only have so many hours in the day.
And every time you finish a project, you are unemployed until you find the next one.
It's a hamster wheel.
It's a total hamster wheel. The build once protocol changes the equation. You invest the time up front, unpaid, to build the asset. But then the asset pays you rent forever.
Okay, I'm sold on the concept. I want to do this. I want to find my Pune fabrication shop. How do I actually execute this? Segment 4 is our execution guide.
It breaks down into 3 steps. And they sound simple, but the devil is in the details.
Step 1, pick the workflow. And the advice here is specific. Pick the ugliest recurring workflow.
Do not pick the cool stuff. Do not pick generating marketing copy or brainstorming strategy.
Why not?
Because those are subjective. They are fuzzy. You want to pick the stuff that hurts. Invoice matching, recruitment pipelines, compliance routing.
Compliance routing. That sounds dreadful.
It sounds profitable.
Fair point.
If something is boring, repetitive, and requires high accuracy, it is perfect for this protocol. If it makes you want to bang your head against a wall, you are on the right track.
You want to look for the things that people are doing in spreadsheets that are 50 columns wide.
Exactly. Okay, so I found my ugly workflow.
Step 2, automate. And here comes the reality check. The source says this isn't instant. It requires 2 to 4 weekends deep in documentation.
This is where most people quit. They watch a 5-minute YouTube video on N8N or Zapier or Make, and they think they're experts.
Do you think it's just drag and drop magic?
But real-world data is messy.
How so? Give us an example.
You have to handle edge cases.
Yeah.
What happens if the date format is day, month, year instead of month to year?
Right.
What happens if the file is corrupted? What happens if the email server is down? What if the PDF is password protected?
So that learning curve is the barrier to entry.
It is the filter. The fact that it takes 2 to 4 weekends of hard, frustrating work to figure out the logic is exactly why it's valuable.
If it were easy, the client would have done it themselves.
Exactly. That is the one-time cost. You pay that cost and sweat equity once. But then, for every subsequent client, that cost is zero.
You're front-loading the pain for long-term gain.
Precisely. And once you have that robust, battle-tested automation, you move to step 3. Productize the logic.
Meaning, start thinking like a freelancer and start thinking like a product owner.
Yes. You
Yeah.
stop saying, I will build you an automation. You start saying, I have a system that eliminates invoice reconciliation errors. It costs X dollars per month.
And sell the outcome.
You sell the outcome, you sell the peace of mind.
Which brings us to a huge question that I think a lot of you listeners will have. Segment 5, the moat.
The defensibility.
Right. If I'm just using NATM and OpenAI or Anthropic, can't my client just fire me and do it themselves? Or can't a competitor just copy me?
This is the proprietary data myth.
Okay, what's that?
People think the moat is the software code or the database. They think you need a patent. But in this world, the moat is the decision logic.
The source material had this great line, the real lock-in isn't the workflow tool. It's the decision logic inside the LLM prompts.
Right. Think about the cold storage example mentioned in our notes. This is a brilliant illustration.
Walk us through it.
Imagine you are automating inventory for a warehouse that stores frozen food.
Okay, frozen food.
You can teach a generalist developer, someone from Google or Facebook, how to use NAN in a week. They are smart. They can code.
Sure.
But you cannot teach them, in a week, that a specific supplier of frozen peas always mismatches their line items on invoices generated at 2 a.m.
That is such a specific detail. Wait, why would they mismatch at 2 a.m.?
Maybe the shift changes at 2 a.m. Maybe the humidity in the warehouse affects the barcode scanners when the temperature drops.
Oh, wow.
Maybe the system resets. The reason doesn't matter. The fact is it happens. And if you don't know it happens, your automation will fail.
And the generalist developer wouldn't know that.
No. They would build a system that assumes the data is perfect, and when the data comes in weird at 2 a.m., the system breaks.
But the subject matter expert,
The person who has worked in that warehouse for 5 years, they know.
they know the quirks.
Exactly. That is domain knowledge. That is 6 months of sitting in the office, watching the process fail, and learning why it fails.
So how does that translate to the LLM?
When you embed that knowledge into your prompts, when you tell the AI, if the supplier is Frozen Peace Corp and the time is 2 a.m., flag this for human review that is the moat.
A competitor can copy your N8N nodes. They can use the same AI model, but they cannot copy the 6 months of painful learning that went into the prompts.
Yes. In the age of AI, the coder is a commodity. Code is cheap. The subject matter expert is the king. Context is the kingdom.
I love that. Context is the kingdom.
There really is.
Okay, let's talk strategy. Segment 6. We have this workflow. It's working. Why not just go all the way? Why not raise $5 million and build a SaaS platform, a proper startup with a logo and a cool office?
The why not SaaS question. This is a classic trap. It's the ego trap.
The source material is pretty blunt. It says SaaS requires 6 to 12 months of dev, a team, and funding before validation.
Think about the risk profile. If you decide to build invoiceflow.io, you need a front-end engineer to build the website. You need a back-end engineer.
You need a designer.
You need a database admin. You need to handle user authentication, security, payments, UI, UX.
You're building the wrapper.
You spend a year building the wrapper, and you haven't sold a single thing yet.
You don't even know if people will pay for it.
Exactly. You are burning cash, hoping that people want your wrapper.
Whereas with the build once protocol,
You are workflow first. You can build the solution in N8N in 2 weeks. You can sell it immediately.
you have revenue coming in before you have a logo.
You have revenue before you have a website.
It says here, workflow first is the cheapest market validation that exists.
It is. If you can't sell the workflow, if you can't sell the result, you definitely can't sell the sauce.
But if you can sell the workflow,
Then you have options.
right, the source suggests a milestone. If 5 or more clients run the same workflow and they all start asking for a dashboard,
Like, hey, can I see a graph of my savings? Can I see a history of my invoices?
then you have earned the right to build the sauce layer.
You build the software around the proven revenue, not the other way around.
Exactly. You de-risk the entire venture. You are building on a foundation of cash flow, not a foundation of VC money and hope.
Which is how business used to be done, frankly.
But what about scaling? You mentioned earlier that the LLM is the key. But let's play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
I have 50 clients. Client number 50 uses a different ERP. Their invoices are pink instead of white. Their approval chain has 5 people instead of 2.
Right.
Doesn't the whole build once thing fall apart? Don't I end up customizing again and basically becoming an agency?
This is the genius of the architecture. In the old days of hard-coded software, yes, you would be dead.
You would need if-then statements for every possible variation.
If invoice is pink, do this. If invoice is in German, do that.
It becomes a tangled mess of spaghetti code.
But now, the LLM acts as the universal adapter.
So.
You tell the LLM, extract the total amount. It doesn't matter if the invoice is pink, white, handwritten, or in German.
Right.
It doesn't matter if the layout is completely different. The LLM handles the variance.
It normalizes the data.
Exactly. It normalizes the data before it hits your rigid workflow. So your end-to-end script, your pipe, always receives clean, standard data.
The LLM acts as the funnel that catches all the weird shapes and turns them into uniform blocks.
Precisely. That architectural decision is what allows you to scale past the first cluster of identical clients.
You can scale to a broader market without rewriting your code.
You stop fighting the variance and you start absorbing it.
It's fascinating how the technology has finally caught up to the business need. We've wanted to do this for 20 years, but the OCR was never good enough.
It was brittle. One smudge and it failed. LLMs are resilient. They understand context. That is the game changer.
Okay, we're coming into the home stretch here. Segment 7. We have some advice to dispense from the sources.
Let's do it.
First, to the employees listening to this, maybe you're sitting in a cubicle right now. You're doing one of these ugly workflows.
You are the person staring at the POs for 11 days.
What should you do?
The advice is clear. Pick the workflow you know cold, the one you do every day, the one you hate, and build the solution as a side project.
Don't quit your job today.
No, absolutely not. Use your job as your research lab.
You have the proprietary data right in front of you.
You see the edge cases. You know exactly where the process breaks. Build the automation to make your own life easier first.
And that side project.
That side project becomes your future agency's first product.
You walk out the door not with a resume, but with a product that you can sell to your former employer and all their competitors.
You turn your drudgery into your startup.
That is a total power move.
It is.
Now, what about the investors? There are a lot of VCs tuning into the deep dive. What should they be looking for?
They need to change their filter. Stop funding the pitch decks that promise AI for everything.
Stop funding the generic AI co-pilots. So what's the due diligence question they should actually ask?
How many clients run the exact same workflow with under 10% customization?
Ooh, that's a sharp question.
It cuts through all the noise. If the answer is 0, every client is a custom build.
Run away.
Run away. That is a consultancy, not a scalable startup. You cannot scale that without massive headcount.
But if the answer is, we have 20 clients running the exact same N8 script.
Write the check. That is a money printing machine.
Because that means they've found the build once protocol. They've found the vein of gold.
Exactly. They have found the scalable unit of value.
All right, this has been an absolute eye-opener. From the dusty industrial estates of Pune to the high-level economics of SaaS. Let's wrap this up with a summary and our outro.
If we boil it all down, the takeaway from all this research is this. The real margin in the AI revolution isn't in building the models themselves.
It isn't in competing with Google or OpenAI.
No. It is in applying those models to specific, ugly, boring problems like invoice reconciliation.
It's the transition from selling hours to selling outcomes.
Finding a universal pain point, building the fix once, and letting the ecosystem sell it for you.
And leveraging the moat of boring domain knowledge to keep competitors at bay.
Exactly.
So here is our final provocative thought for you, the listener. I want you to look around your office or your warehouse or your shop floor tomorrow.
Don't look at the shiny stuff.
No. Look for the trash. Look for the pile of paper that everyone avoids. Look for the spreadsheet that crashes Excel because it has too many rows.
What is the one repetitive workflow in your industry that you would automate first?
And, more importantly, would 3 competitors pay for the same fix?
Think about the cold storage example. The money is hidden in the things that disappear at 2 a.m.
It is hidden in the silence of a missed deadline or a lost invoice.
Find the silence, find the pain, and you find the business.
Find the pain, find the business. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Build Once protocol. We hope you go out there and find your ugly workflow.
Good luck out there.
See you next time.